What's up, YouTube? So, you've accepted that you suck at playing music. Well, congratulations. That means you've taken the first step toward actually getting better at it. But even if we can get comfortable with the idea of being bad at something for a time, we are human, and it can still sometimes be frustrating and difficult. And that little voice in your head, "You're horrible, you'll never amount to anything. You'll never be John you think you are." Yeah, that one. It's inevitably going to pop up from time to time. So how do we deal with that? What are some steps that we can take to quiet it down, or maybe even keep it at bay? Well, these 5 tips just might help you do that. This list was inspired by a lot of the comments in response to my last 2 videos. You guys have been incredibly generous with sharing your stories and even some of your struggles with your respective music journeys. And while everyone's journey is unique to them, I did notice some through lines, themes, and challenges that we all seem to share in common. So I've done my best to try to tailor these tips directly to those themes, using the experiences that I've had in my 30 years in music, as well as advice from you. That's right. This is a top 5 tips video made for you, by you. So let's hop in. Tip number 1, stop comparing yourself to other people. This one seems kind of obvious. I think it's something we all know deep down, but we all still do it, probably more than we realize. And it makes sense. Chances are you got into music because you saw or heard somebody playing, got inspired, and decided to learn. So right from the start, you have somewhat of a benchmark for success set in your mind. If I could play like I'll know I'm a good musician. And at first, that might seem achievable, but then you start putting in the time, and you realize, damn, music is hard. And that mountain that you're climbing starts to look bigger and steeper. Stop it. It's a recipe for constant discouragement. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have influences. It's important to be able to draw inspiration from the artists you admire. But if you keep looking to them as your measurement for success, then you'll miss all of your little successes along the way. And those little successes are what a well-rounded skill is built on. So instead, try to only compete against yourself. Use your own progress as your benchmark. And every time you sit down to practice, try to top yourself. Whether that's trying to play something a little bit faster, or a little cleaner, or even trying to learn something entirely new. Competing against yourself can help you make progress more quickly and stay motivated more frequently. Oh, and forget about those 10-year-olds that you see on YouTube who seem to have mastered their instrument. Chances are they've already been obsessively playing for like 5 years, and they don't have jobs to work or bills to pay, so fuck. Tip number 2, start slow. This one is directly from you guys, and something that admittedly I'm pretty horrible at. In the first episode of The Art of Sucking at Drums, I tried to follow along to an online rudiments lesson, learning the 6-stroke roll. And in the lesson, the teacher jumps from 90 beats per minute all the way up to 150 beats per minute. And I couldn't do it. So for the next 9 minutes, actually 2 hours, I tried to work my way up from 90 to 150. Yes! I kinda got there, but my technique got pretty sloppy, and a handful of you jumped in and very kindly reminded me of how ridiculous I was being. In reality, I should have found a BPM that I was comfortable with and could play easily and with perfect technique. And over time, like days, weeks, or even months, worked my way up a couple BPM at a time. But that wouldn't have made for a very exciting video, now would it? All artistic license aside though, I have to admit, you guys are fucking right. Starting slow allows you to really focus on building a solid foundation of technique, and working your way up one step at a time helps you preserve that technique as you get into higher tempos. This is something I've done a lot in the past when learning new parts or patterns. And while it might be tempting to try and play something full speed straight out of the gate, taking it slow can actually be the difference between whether or not you can play it at all. So slow it down, speed demons. Tip number 3, set small but specific goals. What's the best way to eat an elephant? Well, I would argue that it's not at all. Elephants are pretty fucking cool. But the common answer is one bite at a time. Music is a very broad discipline with a lot of different areas to focus on. Even within one genre on one instrument, there are hundreds of techniques and approaches to learn and develop. And if you're anything like me, you might look at all of that, have a hard time deciding on what to practice, and just sit down and play the 5 songs that you already know. Which, don't get me wrong, has its value. But if you're wanting to push your boundaries and keep improving, then breaking your big, broad goals down into smaller and more specific ones might be a good way to help keep you on track. I'll use myself as an example. I would like to get better at improvising on guitar. Big, broad goal. What kind of improv? Blues, jazz? Well, I'm a rock guy, so let's say rock. Okay, well, how familiar are you with scales? Hardly. What about modes? Modes of what? Well, we're gonna have to learn these things, but why don't we start here? The C major scale, do you know it? Kinda? What positions do you know? Positions? Yeah, I don't know any positions. Okay, well, I'm gonna suggest that for the next week or 2, you focus on learning the C major scale in all positions. Once you feel like you've got a handle on that, we can move to connecting through all of the positions up and down the neck. And we'll spend about 2 or 3 weeks practicing that and getting it locked in. Small specific goals give you stepping stones to keep you moving forward. And when they're challenging but achievable, it helps to keep your morale high. There have been a lot of studies on what I would call the Goldilocks zone of learning. Too easy and you get bored and lose interest. Too hard and you give up. So having the right balance of challenge and achievability can make or break your interest in the learning process. And maintaining that interest is crucial when it comes to developing a new skill. Tip number 4. Now, this one might seem a little bit controversial, and I kind of went back and forth on whether or not to include it on this list. It's something that I've found super helpful over the years, but it can be a bit like playing with fire if you're not careful. So proceed with caution. Tip number 4 is weaponize your self-doubt. The premise is this: dissatisfaction and self-criticism can be a very important and powerful tool in the creative process. It can be the thing that pushes you that extra little bit and takes your music from being, this is good enough, to, oh my god, this is fucking great. But too much of it can have the opposite effect and keep you from ever being satisfied with anything you make. The key is to spend time with your inner critic, get to know it a little bit, and learn to recognize when it's trying to help you, you can do that better, or when it's trying to hurt you, you're horrible at this, you should just quit. Like I said, this relationship can be a little fickle, but the truth is that it's always going to be there. So over time, you might be able to learn to manipulate it rather than letting it manipulate you. However, if you find that your inner critic is just getting in the way, then it might be a good idea to put it away for a little bit. Put it in your back pocket and use it at a later date. And finally, tip number 5, the final and most important thing that you could do on your musical journey. Tip number 5 is don't listen to me. If any of these tips get in the way of you enjoying your experience playing music, then completely disregard them. There's no right or wrong way to play music, and everyone's goals are different. Sure, maybe you're an artist and you want to move the world with your music. Or maybe all you want to do is be able to pick up your guitar at the end of a long day, sit back with a drink, and strum a few chords. Both of these, and everything in between, are valid and admirable. Music and art in general is a choose-your-own-adventure kind of experience. And no matter what you want your relationship with music to be, the goal is always the same: to express yourself and engage with something that brings you joy. And nobody can tell you which part of that you're supposed to get joy from. So lean into the joy you get from playing music, because as long as you're doing that, the rest will come. And what comes will be exactly what you need from it. Happy travels on your musical quest. Don't forget to enjoy the process and embrace the suck.